Hello and welcome back to Garrett's Guides Embris. I'm Garrett, and today we are going to be looking at the Embris Code of Conduct. So to find this document, you will go up to the top of the Discord under the Information Channel folder, go to Server Information, scroll up to our links to document, and here's our Code of Conduct. So what is the Code of Conduct? The Code of Conduct is generally our rules for the server that you're to adhere to while playing and interacting with individuals on the server, with different punishments outlined with them, outlined throughout this document. So, the general idea behind this is we want to keep Embris a kind and welcoming place through which people can come play Dungeons and Dragons and have fun. As long as you respect the idea of the Golden Rule, you're unlikely to ever have this document be of use to you. Treat others the way you want to be treated, be kind to one another, just have fun and spread the goodness of Dungeons and Dragons, and you will likely never see issues with this document. And today we're going to look a bit deeper as to some of the different rules, punishment system, and our moderator team, which, as stated here, moderator team is going to be those individuals who are enforcing the code of conduct, making sure that things are going smoothly within the server, put out any arguments that might start, make sure people are being civil with one another in conversation for the most part, and handle any cases where people have broken the rules of the server. They're an independent neutral party from both admins, DMs, and the other staff, and they're here to help out for everybody, as is stated here. And of course, a disclaimer, Code of Conduct is something that will expand over time. In the meantime, the mods have that free reign to deal with cases on a case-by-case basis and be flexible with how they're going to be punishing and handling cases, as each case is going to be unique and there's no way to prepare for anything that can pop up. We just have the majority of stuff prepared for. So, now let us look down at our server rules and begin looking through these. We're going to skim them for the most part as you are able to read them in your own free time, and I'd like this video to not be another hour and 40-minute long video. So in general with behavior, general idea is be courteous and respectful to others. Do unto others as you would expect them to do to you. Generally be kind to maintain this calm environment both in and out of sessions. And then of course we have our section D here, where regardless of what is or is not listed in these rules, the moderators can determine what is or is not acceptable behavior, both in and out of character. So should an issue pop up where somebody has avoided one of these rules being broken, but it is still something unhealthy for the server of Embris, the moderators are able to look over that case and decide how they're going to proceed with it. If you have questions on any of this, don't hesitate to reach out to a member of our moderation team, which you can find as the individuals with red names or the second role on the right side of the screen, which currently JK is our online moderator. Now, of course, with these cases, should the moderator team offer out a warning or punishment, their word is final when it comes to these issues. If you feel there's ever any issues with moderator conduct, you are encouraged to notify myself or another member of our administration team for them to review the incident as best they can. So now let's look at the proper case of cheating. So within Embris, we would not like to see cheaters. We're here to have fun and play a game that is going to be fair to all. So our rules on cheating involve fudging dice, if you're able to add any fancy tricks to Roll20 to make dice work your way. Metagaming, which is things like looking up a stat block and determining the weakness of the enemy before fighting them and using that weakness. Recording fraudulent character information on purpose. So say 1,000 extra gold just keeps ending up in your character sheet after every quest. There are regular audits that go through on these sheets to double check, but we are always looking to see if anything illegal is being added to these sheets, and that would violate our cheating policy. And then, of course, bypassing DM rulings on a session. As we're going to look at in a little bit, the DM has the final say on things occurring within the session. So our next set of cheating rule is for staff in particular. Staff are not allowed to be abusing their position to directly benefit themselves outside of the established means, as there are some benefits to being a member of the staff on Embris, but anytime that somebody goes past that to give themselves different benefits, it's something that violates our cheating area. Cases with this will be addressed on a case-by-case basis by the moderator team. If you are suspect of anything of such happening, please notify one of them. So in terms of punishment, for the most part, these will be on a case-by-case basis. There are a few outlined later in terms of our strike system, which we're going to be looking at near the end of the video, where punishments can involve, of course, revoking any illicit items you have added that you did not actually gain. You could be muted temporarily, should that be part of the reason that you have been brought up for chat-related issues, voice chat or text chat. Of course, any suspension from play or from server activities, and any other punishment that could include temporary bans for minor infractions, which are those more minor things that can be corrected. There are also major infractions, which very big issues that can pop up on the server, which we'll be looking at a few examples later, but these can result in long-term bans, revocation of position as staff, or permanent bans from the server of Embris. Now, of course, as I said, we'll be looking at the strike system a little bit later, but that is involved with our minor infractions, and those lead into a major punishment. Now, of course, the moderation team can give warnings as they deem fit should they feel a crime or a violation of the rules is not major enough, or it's a first strike against somebody, where they've made one little issue and haven't done anything else before. They have the ability to give out a warning saying, hey, don't do this again, don't let it happen again. We're laying you off with the warning this time. And of course, over time, there's a chance you could lose strikes at moderator and administration approval. So in terms of rules within sessions, one of our big things we have is sandbagging, which this is a case-by-case offense, where it involves the willful lack of participation in a session. So say your party is fighting in a session, you already hate the session, you're done playing, you don't care anymore, you are actively not participating, you are not taking action on your turn, not moving, then you are sandbagging. You're actively causing harm to your party, as there could have been another player who wanted to play, and you are denying them that ability to play and actively causing harm to the party, as the DM likely balanced the combat around the idea of all members of the party participating. This is a case-by-case basis, as there could be other reasons someone is not participating in a session, either in character or out of character, which that'll be brought up by the moderation team, and they will look at it at a case-by-case basis. If you do have a particular reason you need to not be playing at this point, it is always recommended to just talk to your DM. Say something has come up last minute and you need to quickly leave the session. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure you're notifying your DM and letting them know what's happening. Now, of course, in terms of in the session, the DM has the final say at their table as they are running the session. They do have the ability to mute you if your voice chat is becoming disruptive. They're able to resolve behavioral issues, metagaming, so on and so forth. And then, of course, if you ever do have a problem with a DM ruling, DM resolution of issues, please bring it up to the moderator team as that neutral third party, or discuss it with your DM after the quest. We strongly encourage you not to be provoking any arguments, openly questioning and fighting against DM decisions throughout an entire quest. Just handle it civilly like adults, afterwards or through the use of a third party with our moderation team. And then, of course, we have the nuclear option of a quest being ended should a behavioral disruption be too much for the DM to handle, but that is a very rare occurrence which has not happened in the history of Embris up to date. Then we have listed out the moderator duties, powers, and responsibilities, which you can read on your own free time. We're going to look at this TLDR, which is the general idea that just be civil with one another. Walk away if things are getting heated, listen to the staff, don't be the person who's going to ruin the server for everyone, and you probably won't ever hear about this document. But moving forward, we're going to look at a few more of our general server rules. In terms of general rules in detail, here's a few of them with offensive things or other stuff that goes against our general ideas of the server. And then we get to our PvP rules. So this is a rule we have involving player versus player conduct. Whenever you are looking to fight with another person, hit them of your own free volition as a character, that is what's known as player versus player. This requires the consent of all parties. So say you're in a roleplay with somebody and they say something that agitates your character to the point where a sword is drawn and you wish to attack. You need to talk to that person out of character, be like, hey, what you just said is going to make my character attack. Is that okay? And get the consent of both parties. and generally work together to make sure that everything is going to resolve without individuals having hurt feelings or feeling like their character's autonomy has been fully violated. Should you feel somebody is abusing the system, they could gain a strike for that. Say they burn down an orphanage in front of your character, then laugh and say, "I don't consent to PvP, you can't touch me." That would be considered abuse of the system. And that could be a strikeable offense, which could eventually lead them to getting banned from the server. This, of course, is a case-by-case offense, so please notify a moderator if you feel like somebody has violated or abused the system. Next, we have a few text chat rules. General things that are going to be usual rules for Discord servers. Try not to flame, don't spam, ping people, don't personally attack people. And then, of course, we have witch hunting. Which, scrolling down to see our little addendum here, witch hunting is the act of gathering as a mob/group to harass, ostracize, bully, slander, etc. one or several individuals either publicly or privately, whether or not directly or indirectly. So how does witch hunting apply to our server? It basically means if you gather people together based on a decision an individual made, either in or out of character, and try and enforce mob justice upon them. Basically ostracizing them, calling them names, causing harm to them, without following our official procedures and letting the moderator team handle issues themselves. As we want to keep this a nice and friendly environment, we very strongly will turn against witch hunting. Then, of course, we have our voice chat rules. Try and keep things civil within the voice chats and at a level of noise that isn't going to be harmful to individuals. Some bot-specific rules, and now we finally get to our strike system. So how the strike system works is there's a 3-strike moderation track, where different offenses can give you strikes based on the moderator's decisions and their own, basically how they handle the case-by-case basis. Usually first-time offenders are going to be giving a warning before they get a strike, with the exception, of course, for certain offenses that may be so egregious that they need to bypass the system and or give additional strikes. So here are some examples of things that could be handled case by case or offer up 1 to multiple strikes. And these are just examples. There are, of course, other things that could lead to these strikes, but it is impossible to list every bad thing that could ever happen in the world. Harassment can be handled on a case-by-case basis, with it potentially leading to pushing through all 3 strikes immediately, should the harassment be bad enough of an individual. Facilitating ban evasion, cheating, abuse of power, utilizing channels improperly. And of course, our first one, we have some generally easier to clean up things that aren't as horrible to do, speaking loosely. And of course, we've got 2 strike offenses, mature RP beyond PG-13, witch hunting, bigotry, and finally our 3 strike offenses that could lead to an immediate ban. Doxing, unauthorized distribution of personal information, names, addresses of people on the server, causing them direct personal harm. Breaking Discord terms of service, because we don't want to get in trouble with Discord. And of course, spreading malware, phishing, and or scams. So of course, here's a general rundown of the idea behind the strike system and how much you may get for each. 1 strike could afford you a temporary mute, 2 could be a temporary ban, and then of course 3, with any of these bigger cases and any like them, could be a permanent ban from the server of Embris. And of course, moderator team has the discretion to issue these punishments and look at each case on a case-by-case basis as they need to. And then of course, here's the cheating definition once again, like looking up stat blocks, adding too much to your sheet, so on and so forth. But as with everything in this document, this list is not all-encompassing. They're going to endeavor to set up rules fair to everybody, but cannot account for future events, more than we already have. So each case will be looked at as carefully as possible to ensure the best outcome for the health of the players and of all of Embris by our moderator team. So in terms of reporting any things that you see that might go against the code of conduct, the way you would do so is by going over here, messaging one of our moderators directly, something like, "Hey, I noticed this by this individual, kind of concerned me, could you guys look into it?" And they will do so, utilizing the tools at their disposal. We also have a confession bot you can find the command for in our server information channel by scrolling above our document links. What you do is you type /confess in any channel, space, here's the content of my ticket, tab enter. That way, This will basically send a message to all the moderators in their moderator chats of an anonymous confession as to what you are trying to spend the information of. From there, they will look into that procedure, look into the confession, and try and find out what the issue is, and look into the case. This is an anonymous way to talk to the moderators in which you will never be found out, without us needing to do digging should certain confessions require such as trolling confessions. But it is a nice anonymous resource we have. And with that, we're going to wrap up this video. Of course, if you have any questions about the Embris Code of Conduct, please feel free to reach out to an admin, a moderator, and or talk about it in our questions channel down in the public chat. And with that, I hope you guys have learned something. Peace.